We are meeting again now for week 2 lectures with the topic of ideation and SEO. As you can see from this slide, I'm not sure if I have this. Let me see these things that I'm sharing with you. I'll share again. So, can you see this sharing? I hope you do. Right. Okay, the sharing for today, I would like you to understand few things that is important. The first question is about where do business ideas actually come from? Okay, sometimes students always think that business ideas come from sudden inspiration. They think like it is a magical moment, but actually most good business idea do not come from magic. No, they normally actually come from the observation. Sometimes it will also come from frustration, daily life, and very often from solving a real problem. So from there, I want you to remember one thing from this lecture this week, which is about the SEO. Yeah, um, what does it mean by ideation and so on? Because I need you to remember a business idea is not valuable just because it sounds creative. No. Often students misunderstood this. Okay. So business idea becomes valuable when it solves a real pain or a real problem and creates value for people. That's what it is. That's the business idea we talk about. So this is the heart of the lecture for today, for this week. Okay. The first thing I want you to understand is what is ideation. Look at this. Ideation is basically the process of how we can generate, how we can develop, and how we can communicate your ideas, all the ideas. In entrepreneurship, ideation is not just about thinking of something cool. It is about asking what problems exist, who is facing this problem, can we solve it better, can we solve it faster, can we solve it more cheaper or more conveniently. So in simple words, business ideation means you are finding a useful idea that can become a real opportunity. So an entrepreneur should not just fall in love with the product. Entrepreneur must fall in love with the problem, because if there is no real problem, then usually there is no real market. For example, if I were to create a smart bottle, for example, this smart bottle can glows in 7 colors when you drink the water. Yeah, that's one of the example I just want to share with you. Maybe it looks interesting, but if nobody really needs it or nobody is willing to pay for it, then that is just an invention, not necessarily be a business opportunity. Okay, so I want you to remember, not every idea is an opportunity, but every strong opportunity usually starts from a meaningful idea. Yeah, you understand that? So the question now is, where do ideas come from? Okay, so there are many sources of idea. I mentioned here, idea can come from work experience, hobbies, interests, environment, new trends, customer complaints, observation, networking, exposure to technology and research, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is very true, but some of the best idea also can come from your everyday frustration. Maybe you wait for too long for food delivery, maybe you struggle to find parking, for example, or maybe lecturers like me are tired of collecting student swap classes requests manually. There are many frustration that happen in our daily life, right? Or probably like tourists cannot easily book a heritage experience in one place. So there are many. So these are not just small problems. These are actually a potential business opportunities. So a clever entrepreneur is very sensitive to this friction. When other people say, I are troublesome lah, I have problem lah, you as an entrepreneur will say that maybe this can become a business. Okay, so ideas from work experience, for example, a lot of businesses start because somebody worked in an industry and saw what was broken. For example, if you work in logistics, for example, yeah, maybe you notice the delivery tracking was messy. If you work in a clinic, maybe you see that appointment management was too manual. If you work in education, maybe communication between lecturers, students, and administration was too fragmented. This is what you are thinking. So that experience actually gives you the insider knowledge. And insider knowledge is very powerful because you understand the pain better than the outsiders. A lot better. So your idea can also come from your hobbies. It can also come from many other things I just mentioned to you before this. So I want you to look into this, all this idea from the perspective, yeah. Let's say real case in Malaysia. Uh, I would like to take Grab, for example. If you understand this, if you remember, Grab actually started as My Taxi in 2012 with a very simple problem that they're trying to solve, because people in Malaysia, they want a safer and more reliable taxi rides. Later, the founders also realized that drivers and small entrepreneurs in Southeast Asia, they needed better income opportunity and also tools to grow. So this is a classic example of ideation that's starting from a real market pain, not from just random creativity. No. So if I explain this to you in an easy uh, pain first and solution second, and then the growth. Yeah, growth will become third. When you understand the market deeper, the company expanded beyond just a taxi booking into food delivery now, payments, and more others. This shows something more important, which is sometimes one soft pain will opens the door to many other new opportunity. And then come the COVID-19. Yeah, lockdown, closed everywhere. So that is a real opportunity. If you look at the other country also, like Indonesia, you have this Gojek, they call it, right? You can search for that words. And then we have Airbnb. There are all existing idea or new idea, existing market or the new market. This will grow into something new. You're offering something that already exists to a market that already exists. For example, you open a laundry shop or you open a cafe or anything, something like that. This is existing idea, existing market, but you probably want to expand it. So there are many examples of how you can do it. So I show in this slide here, the Q1, the Q2, the Q3, the Q4. So those are some of the idea that you might want to use. Q4, for example, new idea and new market. But if you take the Q4 idea, this is the most risky, I have to say, potentially the most disruptive. This happen when both the product and also the market behavior are new. So it's very exciting, but very hard also because customers may not even understand yet why they need it. So as a future entrepreneurs like yourself, normally if you just started, we don't always choose Q4. Because sometimes most of you think that the newest means the best, but it is not necessarily true. Yeah, because sometimes the smartest business is just taking an existing solution, but you are making it work better for a neglected market. There are market there, but it is been neglected because people did not see the solution that you can offer. Okay, so there are many ways of doing so. So what are all the techniques that you can use to generate ideas? Okay, I mentioned in my slides like brainstorming, focus group, survey, yeah? Those are all the example. Okay, let me explain this in a very practical way. For example, you have brainstorming. This is brainstorming, okay? This is good when you want many ideas fast. But rule number one, don't kill ideas too early. If 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 one person in the group, when you do brainstorming, it is normally in the group. If one person says something weird, don't immediately laugh or reject it, because sometimes a silly idea becomes the bridge to a smart idea. For example, maybe someone says, what if tourists can book village experiences like a package? Then another person adds, what if local transport is included in the package? Then another person in the brainstorm group say, what if payment and review are all in one app? That is how a brainstorming grows. Okay, so like I said, brainstorming can come from ideas that come from one person, add up to another. Yeah, and then you finalize that. Compared to focus group, this is something different, because focus group is good when you want something more depth. You gather people who are close to the issue and you listen carefully to what they are saying. For example, if you want to build a student focused business, you cannot just assume. You have to talk to them. Yeah, who? The student, for example. What is annoying? What wastes your time the most? What do you wish was easier? What do you pay uh, for already existing and so on? How do you pay them? Because sometimes customer will not directly tell you the solution, but they will reveal the pain that they are facing, the problem that they're facing, and all the issue. From there, you get the answer that you wish to understand better. Okay. Okay, the third one, you can also try surveys. Okay, surveys a little bit different, because this helps you quantify. Because just now brainstorming, they gives you possibilities, the focus group gives you the insight, but survey gives you the evidence. So if 100%